We changed all the locks on the front door and also the gate code. We no longer trust you. That was the text I got from my own mother. Not a phone call. Not a family meeting. Not even an argument. Just those words, cold, calculated, final. I read it twice thinking maybe I missed something. I hadn't. I was locked out of the house I'd been paying the mortgage on for almost a decade. The house I'd kept afloat when everyone else gave up. The house they now said I had no place in. I stared at the message, heart thudding, thumb hovering over the screen. Then I typed the only reply that felt right. Understood. Very smart. But I think you overlooked one thing. And I hit send. Before we dive in, we'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment below letting us know where you're watching from and what time it is for you right now. We're excited to connect with all of you, so don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more amazing content. Now back to the story. My name is Isabella Cruz. I'm 32 years old. Financial analyst by profession, peacekeeper by necessity. Eldest daughter. First to graduate college. First to buy a car. First to say, don't worry, I've got it. Even when I barely had enough for myself. I've always been the one who shows up. When Dad had his heart scare in 2016 and Mom was too shaken to think straight, I was the one who read every hospital bill, haggled down charges, and set up a payment plan. When Camila flunked out of college and moved back home to reset, I was the one who shifted my budget so I could send an extra $1,000 every month to help with expenses. The house. That beautiful two-story with the lemon tree out back. That house would have been lost years ago if I hadn't stepped in. They were 3 months behind on the mortgage when I found out. My mom hadn't told me. My dad didn't want to burden me. I only discovered the truth when a foreclosure notice got slipped into a pile of mail I helped them sort one weekend. My stomach dropped when I saw it. I remember holding it up like it was poison. Why didn't you tell me? Yes. Dad rubbed the back of his neck. It's not your problem, I say. But it is, I said. It's all of ours. So I paid it. Then I refinanced the loan under my name so the interest wouldn't kill them. My name, my credit, my responsibility. They insisted they'd pay me back. They never did. I stopped expecting it after the second year. But I kept paying. Because family is family. Right. That illusion shattered the moment I got that text. It wasn't sudden. Not really. When I look back, the cracks had been there for years. It just took me too long to admit they weren't going to fix themselves. Camila always knew how to play them. She was the wild one. The free spirit. The one who painted for a year, then decided she was meant to be a wellness coach, then pivoted into trying to be an influencer. She lived at home the whole time. Rent-free. Stress-free. Responsibility-free. I'd come over on Sundays with groceries and leave with a migraine. She'd be sprawled on the couch, hair wet from a midday bath, flipping through her phone while I washed the dishes, and Mom followed me around the kitchen, pretending to help but mostly asking about my very quiet dating life. You should smile more, as if she'd say. You're always so serious. I wanted to scream, I'm serious because you all act like I'm your safety net and punching bag rolled into one. But I didn't. I just smiled tightly and kept scrubbing. The shift came subtly. At first, I noticed Camila inserting herself into decisions that used to go through me. What kind of car Dad should lease. Whether they should fix the plumbing or wait till it gets worse. I was still footing the bill, but now she was calling the shots. Then came the real blow. One Sunday, I walked in on a conversation I wasn't meant to hear. Camila and Mom in the dining room, whispering just loud enough for me to catch snippets. She acts like it's her house, Camila was saying. Mom replied, I know, Mija. But don't worry. You deserve this home more than she does. You've always been here. Froze. Heart pounding. A bitter taste coated my tongue. She deserved the house. I left quietly that day. Said I wasn't feeling well. Didn't mention the conversation. Just stopped sending the extra cash. No one noticed until the next mortgage payment bounced. That's when I got the first call from the loan service. That's when I realized how alone I really was. I gave them one last chance. I asked Mom to meet me for coffee. Neutral ground. Just a talk. She arrived late, in her usual flurry of perfume and passive-aggressive concern. "Are you okay? You've been so distant." I told her what I'd heard. I told her how it made me feel. Betrayed. Unwelcome. Like a wallet instead of a daughter. She sighed, stirring her latte like it had wronged her. "You always take things so personally, Isabella. You're too sensitive. Camila's just struggling. You have your career. Your apartment. You'll be fine." I stared at her, numb. "So you agree? She deserves the house more." Her eyes didn't meet mine. "It's not about that." But it was. That's when I decided, fine. Let them have it. Let them pay for it. I didn't make a scene. I didn't threaten them. I simply canceled the automatic mortgage payment that had come out of my account every 30th of the month for the last 7 years. Then 2 days later I got the text. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't even reply right away. I just stared at my phone, then at the ceiling, then back at the phone again. "We changed all the locks on the front door and also the gate code. We no longer trust you. Not even a thank you for the years of sacrifice. Not a whisper of remorse. Just exile." And still I stayed calm. I typed back. "Understood. Very smart. But I think you overlooked one thing." I didn't explain it to them. Let them figure it out. Because while they were busy changing locks, I had already changed the deed, years ago. In the refinance paperwork, the house was legally mine. I had let them live there rent-free out of love. Now love had run out. And they had no clue what was coming. That night I sat in my apartment alone. No TV. No music. Just silence and a bottle of wine I'd been saving for some imagined celebration that never came. For the first time in years, I didn't feel guilt. Felt still. Like I could finally breathe without someone else tugging on my lungs. I opened my laptop and logged into the mortgage portal. Clicked cancel payment. Then I opened another tab and emailed the bank's foreclosure department, informing them the property was in voluntary surrender if payment wasn't resumed. Just facts. No emotion. I was done bleeding for people who only noticed when I stopped. The next morning I got an email from their lawyer. Subject: urgent, home ownership dispute. Message: we have a problem. Please call immediately. I didn't. Let them figure it out. Let them dig through the documents and see my name on every page. Let them wonder when I'd stopped being their savior and become someone they'd have to reckon with. For once, I wasn't going to fix it. For once, I was the problem they couldn't solve. The silence that followed that email was louder than any argument I'd ever had with them. No follow-up text. No call. Just a dry, 2-sentence message from a lawyer who clearly hadn't been briefed on who actually owned the house he was fighting for. I didn't respond. I didn't plan to. I wanted them to sit in that silence. Let it echo in the house they thought was theirs. Let every creak of the floorboards remind them who paid for the tiles beneath their feet. Let the ticking clock over the mantel whisper my name with every second that passed. They wanted me gone. Fine. But they forgot the price of exile when the one they banished was the one signing the checks. 2 days passed. Then came the voicemail. My father's voice, shaking just slightly, trying to sound firm, but I could hear the tension in the pauses. "We need to talk. There's been confusion. Misunderstandings. Just call us back, okay?" Confusion. That word stung more than it should have. Not regret. Not apology. Just confusion. As if I had misunderstood being locked out of the house I kept afloat. As if I had hallucinated my own mother's words. "We no longer trust you." I deleted the voicemail. No message. No return call. They could talk to their lawyer. The next day I got a second email. Same subject line. Just more desperate now. "We've reviewed the documents. There's a discrepancy we'd like to resolve privately. Please reach out before formal proceedings begin." Discrepancy. I almost laughed. They still weren't saying it out loud. Still clinging to the hope that I'd swoop in and save them again like always. But I wasn't that daughter anymore. That version of me. The one who worked 12-hour days and still wired them $5,000 without hesitation, died the moment they changed the locks. I wanted them to feel what I had felt. The slow burn of realization that love, when unreciprocated, turns to ash. The hollow ache of watching your sacrifices turned into entitlement. I didn't want revenge for revenge's sake. I wanted justice. I wanted recognition. And maybe, deep down, I wanted the freedom that came with finally letting go. 3 weeks later, the bank called me. "Hi, Miss Cruz. Just following up on the missed mortgage payment. We've issued a late notice to the property, but haven't received a response. Are you planning to resume payments or surrender the property?" I didn't hesitate. "I'm surrendering it," I said. Voluntarily. The woman on the other end paused, clearly caught off guard. "Understood. In that case, we'll proceed with foreclosure. The occupants will be notified." Let them be notified. I imagined Camila reading that letter, hands trembling, face turning pale under her influencer makeup. I imagined my mother storming around the living room, clutching pearls she couldn't afford if I hadn't been paying off their credit cards behind the scenes. And I imagined my father, quiet, defeated, finally realizing that his golden child had never been the one who bailed them out. It was always me. Still, there was a part of me that waited for someone, anyone, to show up with an ounce of humility. Text. A knock on my door. A voicemail with actual remorse. But nothing came. Until the party. I saw it on Camila's Instagram first. She'd posted a reel of herself in the living room, dancing to some overplayed pop song, wine in hand, barefoot on the rug I'd helped Mom pick out during one of the few peaceful weekends we'd ever had. Balloons in the background. Laughter echoing in the audio. Caption. Celebrating our home, finally. #family first #grateful heart. I stared at the screen, my hands cold, lips pressed into a tight line. Home. Grateful. She was throwing a party in a house about to be repossessed, pretending she'd won something. That was the thing about Camila. She could spin gold out of garbage if it meant saving face. The queen of appearances. Everything was always curated. Even her betrayals. I closed the app and turned my phone face down. They had made their choice. A week later, I got a letter forwarded from my old mailing address. Legal notice. Final demand for payment. Property to be auctioned in 30 days unless the loan was brought current. I folded it neatly and placed it in my drawer. Let them find out the way I had, through cold, unfeeling paper. A few nights later, I got a message from my cousin Laura. She was close to Camila once. They'd done yoga retreats together and swapped skincare routines like they were planning a cult. "Laura, hey. I know things are messy right now, but your mom called my mom in tears. Apparently the house is going into foreclosure. Are you okay?" I stared at the message for a long time. My thumbs hovered over the screen. I started typing. Deleted. Typed again. Finally I sent back. Me. "I'm better than I've been in years. Thanks for checking." She didn't reply after that. The silence spread like frost across a windowpane. Family group chats went quiet. Holiday plans were suddenly vague. Aunts who used to tag me in every successful niece meme stopped posting. I was no longer the quiet hero in the background. I was the storm on the horizon. And honestly, it felt clean. They had tried to cut me out of their lives. All I did was stop keeping them afloat. And without me, they sank faster than I expected. The auction came and went. I didn't attend. Thought about it. Thought about showing up in a sharp blazer, arms crossed, watching as strangers toured the home Camila had claimed as hers. But I decided against it. Instead, I stayed in my apartment with a glass of wine, scrolling through listings for places near the coast. Something small, peaceful. A few days later I got a knock at my door. I almost didn't answer. But curiosity won. When I opened it, I wasn't surprised to see Camila standing there. Sunglasses too big for her face, arms crossed, lip gloss smudged at the corner of her mouth. "What do you want?" asked. She took off her glasses. Her eyes were bloodshot. "They're taking the house," she said. "You let them take it." I leaned against the doorframe, arms folded. I didn't let anyone do anything. I just stopped paying. You didn't even warn us. My voice stayed even. Like you warned me before changing the locks. She flinched. Her voice cracked. We didn't think you'd actually. She stopped. I thought you loved us. I felt something sharp twist in my chest. I did. That was the problem. I loved them so much I forgot to love myself. Until they forced me to. I did, I said quietly. But love without respect isn't love. It's leverage. She blinked. I watched the words hit her one by one. We have nowhere to go. I almost pitied her then. Almost. But I didn't say anything. I just stepped back inside, gently closed the door and locked it. I didn't owe her comfort. I didn't owe them anything anymore. They had changed the locks, thinking they were shutting me out. But I had held the real key all along. And I had finally used it to walk away. I still remember the night Camila threw that ridiculous party like it was some victory lap. Her loud laugh echoing through the hollow rooms of the house I had been paying for all these years. She posted pictures everywhere. Instagram stories flooded with neon lights, cheap champagne, and faces I barely recognized. Home sweet home, she captioned one photo, flaunting a house that wasn't hers to brag about. But the real story wasn't in her selfies or her boasts. It was in the silence that followed. Because beneath all the glitter and noise, the bank's automatic payments kept bouncing. 3 times. The mortgage, my mortgage, the one I'd faithfully wired every month for 7 years, was suddenly unpaid. I didn't lift a finger to fix it. I didn't have to. The house was already under threat of foreclosure. Camila had spun a fantasy, but the house was a house of cards, and I held the deck. I could almost hear the panic ripple through the family when the foreclosure notice arrived, the letter that none of them wanted to talk about. Mom's eyes brimmed with tears she tried to hide. Dad looked like he was grappling with a weight he could no longer bear. And Camila. Her bravado cracked, the veneer of control slipping away as the cold truth settled in. It was in that moment the lawyer's voice finally forced its way back into my thoughts, the one I had ignored. We have a problem. Call immediately. It wasn't just a problem, it was a ticking bomb. I chose silence over intervention. 'Cause I was done. When Camila finally called me, her voice trembling, desperate, begging me not to let the house go, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time, power. Not the kind I had ever craved, but the power to say no. To set boundaries they had long ago ignored. I didn't respond to her directly. Instead, I let my lawyer draft the message. You made it clear I'm not welcome. I'm just respecting that. No guilt, no anger. Just cold, unwavering truth. Watching the house go up for auction was surreal. The walls I had once imagined my own family thriving within were now a symbol of all that had been lost. But I didn't bid. I didn't need to. I had already built something new. A modest, peaceful home by the coast, far from the chaos, far from the lies. The fallout was predictable. Mom and Dad moved in with relatives, faces shadowed with shame and regret. Camila, ever the desperate showman, started a GoFundMe campaign titled, "Help Us Keep Our Family Home." The money trickled in and then stopped. No one believed her story anymore, not really. Emails came, messages flooded my phone, some filled with regret, some with thinly veiled guilt, others with thinly disguised demands. I deleted them all. For the first time, I wasn't the family ATM, the silent savior, the invisible backbone. I was just Isabella. The truth was bitter, but it was mine to own. I had been the one holding the keys, literally and figuratively, while they locked me out of their lives. The house wasn't just a structure. It was my sacrifice, my loyalty, my silent plea for acknowledgement. And when they pushed me away, I let go. In the quiet moments now, I find peace. Therapy taught me to untangle the knots of betrayal and love, to rebuild my self-worth on my own terms. I found strength not in their validation but in my own resilience. I found love in unexpected places, not from those who took, but from those who see me. One morning, standing on my porch with a steaming cup of coffee, I felt the locks click behind me, not in fear or exclusion, but as a symbol of new beginnings. The door closed behind the old pane and I smiled. 'Cause they thought changing locks could keep me out. But they forgot I paid for the whole damn house. And now I hold the keys to my own life. The air in my new home felt different. Lighter, cleaner. The salty breeze from the ocean drifted through the open windows, carrying away the weight of years spent in shadows. For the first time in a long time, I was free to breathe without the constant pressure of being the family's invisible backbone. I'd learned the hardest lesson. Sometimes the greatest act of love is walking away. It wasn't easy. The guilt still clawed at me some days, whispering that I should have done more, that I should have fought harder to keep my family intact. But deep down I knew the truth. I had given everything I could, my money, my time, my patience. When they locked me out, both literally and emotionally, they made their choice. Camila's GoFundMe failed spectacularly, just like her pleas. I heard through the grapevine that the house had been sold to strangers, people who saw the worn walls as an opportunity rather than a home filled with memories. I felt a pang but not sorrow. That chapter was closed. My parents moved in with my aunt, a quiet woman who had always looked at me with a mix of pity and resignation. I never visited. Why would I? The house they now lived in wasn't mine to save anymore. Therapy became my sanctuary. I spent months unraveling the threads of betrayal and abandonment, learning to separate my self-worth from their rejection. Each session chipped away at the walls I had built around my heart. I discovered strength in vulnerability and hope in healing. And then, unexpectedly, love found its way to me. Not the dramatic fairy tale kind I had once dreamed of, but something steadier, softer. Someone who saw me, not as a savior or a bank, but as a person. Partner. Sometimes I still get texts from Camila or my parents. Half apologies, half demands. I don't respond. I'm done explaining, done justifying. My silence is my answer. On a quiet Sunday morning, I stood on my porch, coffee warming my hands, watching the sun rise over the ocean. The locks clicked behind me as I stepped inside. Secure, peaceful. They thought changing locks would keep me out, but I already held the keys. The keys to the house, yes, but more importantly the keys to my life, my choices, and my future. For the first time I was truly home.